Brioni is world famous for its top quality made to measure. But how could we express this to the nth degree? Well, unlike Greek statues, most people don't have perfect bodies with perfect proportions. Not all Brioni clients who'd like to buy made-to-measure suit have bodies with classical canons. So we thought, who has bodies out of the ordinary but still is seen like a hero? Athletes. Athletes have such different bodies, huge legs, wide dorsals. They are too small or too tall, but still everybody wows them because they are champions, because they are heroes. So we proposed our client Brioni for its shop at Harrods in London an unconventional window display where, instead of perfectly proportioned mannequins, there would be all possible variations of bodies to wear their suits. A made-to-measure which would surprise the customer and go like, wow, if they can make a dress perfectly fit these bodies, they can make a suit fit me. To make this concept even clearer, we included some normal mannequins, a man on a bench, a hand-in-hand couple, a businessman, later discarded. We also designed some miniaturized highlights of London, the Tower Bridge, Westminster Palace, a red telephone booth, and so on, to give it an urban, everyday look, and also to make our heroes stand out like giants in a value-driven sense, and finally for the customer to walk amidst them and feel like a giant himself. Next step was to do renderings of all of the windows and of the single mannequins to decide the exact poses. To do this, we hired one of the best illustrators in Italy and asked him to realize hand drawings that not only would visualize the overall effect, but also could be used by the sculptors afterwards as a precise anatomical reference, always discussing the poses with the client. We also thought of jewel boxes hosting miniaturized versions of some athletes. The initial idea was to use these dioramas to explain the ideas, but along the road we decided to keep these boxes minimal for a more epic effect. After the platform and miniaturized London was engineered with some variants, we proceeded with the production. Greatest parts of which couldn't be engineered but needed a great deal of artisanal work and the best of our craftsmanship. Most of the mannequins would need a made-to-measure pose, so we based ourselves on the approved drawings and started with small prototypes for the sculptures to study and plan all the constructive aspects. Some statues were realized by remodeling existing mannequins, sewing, bolting, and many passages of stucco plastering and sanding to achieve the exact shapes. Other statues, though, needed to be sculpted from scratch. Polyurethane blocks were carved to shape, exactly copying the small prototype's masses. Following passages would include bi-component resins applications, stucco work, standing, then application of many hands of polyurethane finish, which would be finally sprayed with an opaque black finish. The horse would of course need a higher resistance to shipping and transportation, so we entirely covered it with a fiberglass layer, which needed further sanding and finishing before final varnishing. All details, including the exact shape of the mane, were carefully studied to make sure the final effect would be harmonious. In the meantime, all the platforms and pedestals had been produced, and it was time to recreate the 1:1 scale stage where our athletes would finally perform in their exact positions. The miniaturized buildings were finished, last touches applied, and prototypes were carved to the last details, since they would have to wear a made-to-measure suit too. The statues were then disassembled, carefully packed, and shipped to a Brioni laboratory, where Brioni tailors cut and sewn these extraordinary made-to-measure suits.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
After all these processes, our athletes reached their destination, Brioni Harrods shop in London.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
like real stars. Our athletes went on a tour. They were exhibited in Shingon Place Mall in Beijing
Audio Jungle.
and also in Brioni's shop in the very heart of world-famous Quadrilatero della Moda in Milano.
Audio Jungle.